તમે બાળકોની શિશુકુંજમાં આપણે બાળકોની સેવા કરીએ છીએ. તમે બાળકો માટે કંઈક કરો છો તો you're doing a great thing. And to see children performing in terms of singing, in terms of playing instruments, I was so impressed, and it just got me. The great Prafulbhai was always in the car park area, and every parent, Prafulbhai knew the name. Tane harmonium sikhu che? I said nervously, ha, sikhu che. He said, take the harmonium, he said, and in 6 months, if you can play 2 songs in 6 months, this will be yours forever. Some people say music is not for me, or to me, every individual can play music, sing a song. If they get little bit of training, little bit of help, then they'll do well. And sometimes people forget, they just split it down to manage Kevan. It's not just to say, mean it, show the respect. To me, every child has got creativity in him.
Namaste, and welcome to the next episode of the Shishukunj Legacy Podcast. And today, it's a real pleasure. I've got Pratapbhai here with me today. Namaste, Pratapbhai.
Namaste, Sonalben.
Pratapbhai, tell me, when did you start Shishukunj, and what's the story behind why did you start Shishukunj?
I joined Shishukunj in 1991. And the story behind that is one of my close relations. My nephew, in fact, is Chandrakantbhai, who is the father of Shishukunj Gadhvi, the tabla player. Chandrakantbhai had 2 daughters coming to Shishukunj. One was Namrataben, the other one was Ektaben. And they used to talk a lot about Shishukunj, a lot of great things about Shishukunj. Learning music from Rameshbhai and Ketanbhai. In 1991, or just before, I'm not sure of the exact dates, but there was a baal darshan. And Chandrakantbhai told me about baal darshan. He says, you should come to this. So I said, okay, get me tickets, I'll be there. So we as a whole family went to Logan Hall, and we saw baal darshan. I was so impressed with it. Music, dramas, there was one comedy skit that they did, Karkaro. Amazing, amazing. So when I came home that night, I said to my wife, Geeta, I said, I want Karan to join Shishukunj, and I'm going to apply. And I just went into my little office at home and I made an application.
So that was it. It was a baal darshan.
Baal darshan, that when I saw, because my background of music and I love music, and to see children performing in terms of singing, in terms of playing instruments, I was so impressed, and it just got me. So I said, I want Karan to be part of Shishukunj.
Wow.
So I applied and fortunately got membership, and came to Mazul Hill. That was the Kendra he joined. And again, at the Kendra, to see characters and children singing Doon, Pratna, during Baal Sabha, I was in heaven. I loved it.
So Pratapbhai, what's the story? I have a vague recollection of, I don't know how many years ago, of somebody telling me that you were in the car park and something happened in the car park, and then you were... What happened?
When we joined Shishukunj, I live in Redbridge. From Redbridge to Mazul Hill Kendra normally should have taken about 20 minutes, but they were building the dual carriageway, So it was taking an hour and a half.
Wow.
So we both used to, Gita and I used to both come to Shishukunj. She would help the Karikas in children's activities. And I will just walk down the local newsagent, get myself a Times newspaper and get in my car and read it. One day when I was reading my newspaper, suddenly I hear the knock on the window. It was Bashkabhai. And he says, Pratapbhai? I said, that's me. He said, Pratapbhai, I hear તમે harmonium વગાડો છો. I said, yeah, હું વગાડું છું. તમે આવીને વગાડશો because આજે અમારા હાર્મોનિયમ પ્લેયર નથી આવ્યા.
Oh, wow.
I said, of course. So I came up, he gave me the harmonium. It was baal sabha time. And I started to play.
Wow. So did you like know what you were playing?
No.
You
I
just
had one or two of the baal gits I had heard, others I had not. But I was just, I play music.
you freestyled it. You absolutely freestyled
And
it.
I really enjoyed it. અને પછી બધા કાર્યકરો હતા, એ લોકોએ they encouraged me. They said, every week આવજો હવે પ્રાર્થનામાં બાલ સભા ટાઈમે જરૂર પડશે તમારી. So I started to do that every Sunday.
Brilliant. So Pratapbhai, so you're now sort of coming into Kendra and you're playing the harmonium for Pratna and for Basaba. What was your first portfolio or jawabdari or
Well,
responsibility?
When I arrived at Shishukunj, when we parked the car, the great Prafulbhai was always in the car park area. And every parent, Prafulbhai knew the name. And then he would sort of say, Pratapbhai, aaj Shipa meeting છે આવજો. And I said, what is Shipa?
Exactly.
And he said, parents ની meeting છે તમે ત્યાં આવજો. We need you there. Okay, તમે જાઓ ત્યારે કહેજો. Okay. So he took me to the Shipa meeting and he encouraged me to be at every Shipa meeting.
So Prafulbhai comes along and he says, come to Shipa. You say, what Shipa? And then say, let me know and I'll just come along.
Yeah.
That was that just how Prafulbhai was?
Prafulbhai was just a year before. No, at that time he was still a president. And his term, he was coming to the end of his term. But he was also a Shipa chair before. So he was very active. I'm sure you'll ask me this, but one person who I learned a lot from, and in terms of dedication, was Prafulbhai.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So who else was around? So you've mentioned Prafulbhai, and I will definitely ask for more information. But who else was around at that time when, say, Prafulbhai was encouraging you to come along to a Shipa meeting? Who else was around at the time that was influential or inspirational to you?
On the Kendra side, Rameshbhai Patel, Bashkabhai Thanki, Dakshabin, they were the active characters. And on the younger side, Surajbhai, Chetanbhai, they were just getting into, they were Talim characters then. But Sandeepbhai was Sani, Manishbhai Shah, they were characters. Rohitbhai was in fact the Kendra Nayak when I joined.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And when you look at Kendra then, and say you look at Kendra now, what are the differences, or are there any differences?
The participation, children's participation was amazing. And some of the dhuns, when Rameshbhai picked up, when he sang dhuns, it was magical. You saw children just joining. And one or two of his dhuns were so popular. They all loved it. When he started, they were in their prime.
Wow. Do you remember what dhun that was?
It's not coming to me right now, but I'm
Could
sure.
it be Jale Hanuman?
No,
I
it was
wonder.
another one.
Trying to think what other ones there might be, but we'll come back to that. Maybe
Yeah.
the light bulb will go on at that point. So let's talk about your journey in Shishukunj. So you've been asked to come in, you've been asked to play some harmonium, you've been asked to join Chippa. What was your role in Chippa?
At that time, I was just an active member, and they liked me being vocal. In Shipa, in discussions, I always had something to say. I pray it was all constructive, but I would say things if I felt like adding, questioning, I'll do it.
Okay.
And they liked it.
Okay. So in terms of a responsibility, if we move to say EC, do you remember what your first responsibility was
Yeah.
when you became an EC
Yeah,
member?
as I said, I joined in 91. In 92, at the AGM, I was elected on the EC.
Wow.
And the person who nominated my name, who proposed my name, was Manish Bhai Shah.
Okay.
And I joined the EC. And the first portfolio that I was given, Ashok Bhai was the president then. He became the president that year. And the first portfolio was Fulwadi.
Oh wow. The children's magazine.
Yeah. And Vipa Ben,
Yes.
Milan Bhai Shah, three of us were the Fulwadi team.
And was there a time when, because I know your love of passion is music, so when did kind of fine arts come into your world?
When I was in the EC, the proposal in one of the EC meetings, it was proposed that there was an application from some music teachers, and Ramesh Bhai Patel said, I don't mind seeing whoever it is, and it was Vishwaprakash, Pandit Vishwaprakash,
Okay.
who he was going to see, and he asked me to join him in interviewing
Okay.
Vishwaprakash. So I joined him, and we liked what he said, and we decided to appoint him and Shashiben, his lady wife.
Yes, I remember those days.
Yeah. And Yogesh Bhai Dattani on tablas.
Wow. So, Pratapbhai, music. I see a little harmonium sitting next to you. It would be really wrong if I didn't ask you to just play us something. And if you feel the urge to sing as well, go for it. Just a little bit of something.
If I start singing, I won't stop.
It's okay. I just want to hear what did I call it earlier? A Pratapbhai.
Pratapbhai.
Yes, that's the new word we're using for this ghazal. It's called a Pratapbhai ghazal.
The one thing I loved when there used to be a Budhwari Bethak, and we used to sing bhajans, and one of the bhajans that when I saw, I loved it was Hansala Halone Have. That was written by one of my relations in India, whose son was a film director, Sanjay Gadhvi.
Pratapbhai, I think you should sing 2 lines as well.
Hansala halone have moteda nahi re. Hansala halone have moteda nahi re. Aato janj aan pani आशा झूठी रे बंधानी. मोतीड़ा नहीं रे मड़े.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've heard you sing Hansala Halo so many times, and each time there's a Pratapbhai-ness to it. So I'm going to just keep creating
Thank
new
you.
words just for you. Thank you
you,
so
thank
much. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, am I right in saying that there was Prafulbhai, but you also got to spend some time with Dhanjibhai?
Yes.
If you got some stories that you could share with us about Dhanjibhai the person, but Dhanjibhai for Shishukunj.
Dhanjibhai, I spent a lot of time after I became the president of Shishukunj. Few fundraising meetings, Dhanjibhai would take me with him for two reasons. One, because I was the president and then he wanted me to be introduced. But most importantly, he was training me as to how one should approach any potential donors. And we used to travel not just locally, went to Birmingham with him a few times, to Leicester. But during the journeys, I mean, I have this habit of becoming a journalist. When I would be in the car driving somebody, I would start, as soon as the person sat in the car, I would say, for example, to Dhanjibhai, આપણી 2-2.5 કલાકની જર્ની છે. મારે એમાં કલાક એક તમને ક્વેશ્ચન પૂછવા છે અને તમને આન્સર આપવાના.
So you're driving.
I'm driving and I'll
then-
ask him a question.
So you're going to
For
2
example,
hours.
when did you join Shishukunj? How
wow.
did like you're doing now? And I remember asking him because the one that really comes to mind is I was running my own business. And I know in Kisumu, when Dhanjibhai was Shishukunj, very active in Shishukunj, he was very active, not just for Shishukunj, but he was head of Lohana Community's boarding school. And a lot of people will come to him at his business and ask about admission or, about the activities in Shishukunj order. So I said to him, Dhanjibhai, હું મારો પોતાનો બિઝનેસ રન કરું છું અને શિશુકુંજમાં હવે હું ઇસીમાં છું એટલે મારો ટાઈમ I have to give so much time અને એ થોડીક વરી કરે છે મને કે will I do this at the expense of
So was the question around the kind of balance?
How do I balance this?
Okay. Yeah.
And he said, Pratapbhai, એક વસ્તુ તમારા માઇન્ડમાં તમે કંઈક સારું કરતા હોય ને, if you're doing something for the right reason, something to help the society, so never feel guilty. તમે કંઈક કરો છો, okay, you're giving up something to do this. You'll never lose. It will all come back. Because my worry was if I ignore the business, I may lose some orders and business and what have you. And how do I keep an eye on what's happening in the office? So he said to me, one thing take out of your mind is the guilt.
Yep.
You've been blessed to do something like this. તમે બાળકોની શિશુકુંજમાં આપણે બાળકોની સેવા કરીએ છીએ. તમે બાળકો માટે કંઈક કરો છો તો you're doing a great thing.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So don't feel that, take the guilt out, but then learn to balance it.
Okay.
The activity, તમે જે કામની જે તમારી કરવાની, you just make sure that you don't lose focus on that. And then when you're doing this, put your mind to this activity.
Well.
So I learned from him.
And do you still hold true to those words? Like, do you take that with you today?
Yes, very much so. I feel when I go to work, I work from home as well as from the office. Sometimes I'm traveling. My mind is focused. I don't, at that point, think of other activities. I love music, so I was very active in music. I was very involved in Shishukunj. I also took part in my son's school. I was a parents association activist there. So I had those things, but I made sure that my 9 to 5:30 job was not ignored.
Wow. You brought up your music again. So Gadhvi by name naturally involves music. But how did your music journey start?
It started back in a place called Bhavnagar in India. Sadly, I lost my mother when I was 10, and my grandmother in India asked my father to bring all the children to India. So we're three brothers. The youngest brother was only 2.5 when my mum passed away. Middle brother was 7 and I was 10. And unfortunately, first year, all three of us were split. I was sent to boarding school in Bhavnagar. Middle brother went to my mama's in a place called Dhanjibhai where there is Shishukunj. And he used to go to Shishukunj in Dhanjibhai.
Wow. Okay.
And my youngest brother was with my grandmother. The youngest brother, Dhirubhai, was also active for a while in Shishukunj.
Yes, he was.
And he was there. In Bhavnagar, in our Gujarat, Baroda is known as a music place. Surat is known for music. Bhavnagar was another. Bhavnagar, in terms of literature and music, was very high up in the list. And I used to sometimes pass by music classes. There were some music colleges there. And I really wanted to learn it, but my father's elder brother, who was my guardian there, was very strict. And he felt music is not what I'm there for. So I used to walk by the music schools and stand by the window and see these children playing music, and I wanted to learn it so much. Unfortunately, I was not allowed to join. 3 years later, we were called back to Uganda. My father remarried, and we went back to Uganda. And our neighbor, a Muslim guy, in Gujarati we say Ismaili or Ishnasri, 2 types of Khojas as Gujarati guys. This Kaka was every Sunday afternoon, he will be sitting in his room playing harmonium. And I will stand by the window and I'll watch him, listen to him sing and play. One day he saw me and he shouted, "Pratap, andar." I thought I was going to be told off.
I would as well.
So I was called in, and he said to me, "Tane harmonium sikhu che?" I said nervously, "Ha, sikhu che." He said, "આ હાર્મોનિયમ તું જ લઈ જા." I said, "But મને નથી આવડતું વગાડતા." કે તું લઈ જા.
So he just told you to take the harmonium?
He said, "Take the harmonium." He said, and in 6 months, if you can play 2 songs in 6 months, this will be yours forever.
Oh, wow.
So I took the challenge, went home, and I started playing. And the whole family was, "Oh, Asu." Because when you're learning, you're totally surad now, whether you're playing. And
was it a bit of like yeah?
There was no sur. It was totally besuru. And I was, I would play it in my room, but in a small house, everyone could hear. And I would not give up until about 10 o'clock I'll be playing my harmonium. Fortunately, I managed to learn 2 songs.
Which two songs, can I ask?
Mukesh was my favorite singer.
Okay.
गोरे गोरे चांद समुख पर काली काली रात है गोरे गोरे.
Wow. I thought you were going to say Gore Gore Ho Bake Chore.
That was way after my time. And the other song I learned was that was Mukesh, and this was Mahendra Kapoor. नील गगन के तले धरती का प्यार तूने. So I learned those two songs.
Wow.
It just came to me, and he was so happy. He says, Pratap, taru harmonium taru.
So he just gave
So
you the harmonium.
And then I will every day I'll be playing, and I started. Fortunately, the sur, the sense of sur, as we call sur nu nan, it just came, and if I heard a song on the radio, if I liked it, I'll just do everything I can to learn. 2-3 days, and I'll pick it up.
Do you feel like, Pratapbhai, do you feel like you are an advocate that children should learn music?
Very much so.
And what do you feel by children learning music? What do they gain?
One thing, to my mind, some people say music is not for me, or to me, every individual can play music, sing a song. If they get little bit of training, little bit of help, then they'll do well. But if you totally say, you don't hit them, that's not the approach.
No.
To me, every child has got creativity in him.
And do you feel like music as well is like an art of discipline in terms of, the rhythm, the bars,
Yeah.
and being able to play alongside people singing other musical instruments as well? Or do you think just learn one instrument, learn to play it well, and that's it?
If you appreciate every musical instrument, whilst it's different, there's so much there. It gives you so much of pleasure. When you see, I was watching an orchestra yesterday, and you have violinists there, mandolin player, piano player, electric organ, saxophone. You've got so many different types of instruments. There's wind, string, keyboard. Okay, each individual is different. I may like keyboard, you may like violin. Whatever, if you like something and if you're able to find a teacher. In East Africa, Nairobi was different, but places where I grew up in a place called Mbale, there was no music teacher there. Okay. But we used to watch on Saturday afternoon, every Saturday afternoon, there was an live Indian music being played. And once or twice we saw some ballet guys on the television. And, oh God, where did he learn it, And there was a Bengali teacher who went to various towns. He was a teacher of art and other subjects, but he was a musician as well, and he taught few people.
Wow.
Deepak Khajanchi, for
Yes.
example, who's a big name, he's from a place called Jinja.
Yes. That's where I was born, in Ginger.
Were you?
I was.
Another Ugandan. Nice one.
I want to bring you onto Another question that I think is really important. Like in Shishukunj, we talk about Gandhiji, Swami Vivekananda, Maria Montessori, Gijubai. In your time in London Shishukunj and the years that we've been running, do you feel that what Shishukunj is doing today, do you feel it's all still relevant?
Yes, very much so. To me, this activity, fortunately, we had Saturday and Sunday. Saturday was a fine art music classes. Talking about music classes, at one time, Ramesh Bhai was the first person in charge of fine art, and then different people took it over. 1 year, I had the responsibility of fine art. We had in my year 80 students.
Wow.
And if you can imagine the old Bhavan, 80 students in the mandir where we used to give music. It was buzzing.
I bet.
We also used to, at that time, have Satish Bhai teaching dances
Yes.
in the fine art area. 80 children learning. The family were very active when it came to, for example, every weekends we'll go to the mandir. And at mandir, if there was any bhajans, any music, we'll always be part of that. So music was in the family. And to see that in Shishukunj, children have learnt. I'm blessed because my son came to Shishukunj and he learnt music in Shishukunj. If you ask children who play music, if they're connected with Shishukunj, they'll always say, I learnt this in Shishukunj.
Did you ever feel like racism came into play for your business, for your journey in London into Shishukunj?
Those of us who have been brought up in East Africa, fortunately, the fear factor is not as bad.
Yeah.
You're always strong enough to encounter anybody. I mean, we used to get people shouting abuses and they used to call you Pakistanis and you felt quite angry. I'm not Pakistani. What are you calling me for?
Yeah, absolutely.
But going to our sort of, because we are a community, Shishukunj is no caste, no color, no creed. We're all together. I heard the other day Majid Bhai in Nairobi. You see, even Muslims were part of Shishukunj.
Wow.
So Shishukunj encouraged the brother. The one thing that touched me when I joined was our all faith symbol.
Yes.
That to see that, because we used to Sangye Haricharan, when you sang that, all the religions are mentioned.
Absolutely true.
So to my mind, that was true blessing.
Brilliant. Who are your inspirations in Shishukunj?
Well, I was fortunate enough to spend some time with Indubai.
Wow.
True guru. In terms of when I was sort of Talimi Karikar, if you call me, they never call me Talimi Karikar. I used to call myself Talimi Karikar.
Why
But
not?
I gradually became Karikar and joined the activities, particularly when it came to music or fine art. In terms of inspiration, people of my age, even the ones younger than me, I saw them as mentors. Ramesh Bhai Patel and I are similar age, but I saw him as my mentor. Bhaskar Bhai is younger than me. I saw him as my mentor. Amrit Bhai older than me, but I saw him.
But isn't that, Pratapbhai, the whole spirit of Shishukunj? Yeah. We learn from the old and we learn from the young.
Correct.
And we learn from those who are the same height as us.
That's
and
right.
We also learn from those who are taller or shorter.
Very much
Absolutely.
so. Very much so.
If you had one message that you wanted to give to children who are our future leaders, to the parents in Shishukunj, what would that message be?
don't forget your roots.
Good.
You know, if you there was a study carried out by the government a few years back where it was established that, particularly in regards to immigrants like us, if you know your roots, if you take time to learn more about your roots, you become a strong individual. That was the time when they were encouraging language learning.
Yeah.
And when I was in the chair, we were fortunate to get the National Lottery Fund of 80,000 for Gujarati. And the story behind that is the government found that if the roots, and one of the main factors in the roots is your culture, your language.
Yep.
So if you learn that, if you learn your language, it strengthens you.
Brilliant. I like that. I do like that.
Yeah.
And finally, Pratapbhai, what does Shishukunj mean to you?
Shishukunj to me was a place where the environment was religious, fine art, mixing with Bhayo and Beno. And to me, this point about Bhayo and Beno, it's our culture where we respect. Beno, we call Beno because that's showing the respect. Sonalben, if I say that, yes, I'm treating you as my sister, but I'm also, by adding Ben to your name, I'm showing respect. Right? Sometimes people forget, they just split it down to Benaj Kevan. It's not just to say, mean it, show the respect. So Bhayana Venonu environment,
Thank you.
big thing.
Thank you so much, Pratapbhai, for taking your
You're
time.
most
It's been
welcome.
an absolute pleasure talking to you. I feel we could talk so much more, but for today, we're going to finish there.
Thank you.
That was a beautiful legacy podcast session, and that was with Pratapbhai Gadhvi. He played the harmonium, he did some little bit of singing, he told us about his inspirations and his journey in Shishukunj, and in particular, his love of music. Thank you. Namaste.